Hey Shayna, how are you?
Okay, I'm doing all right. Thank you.
So nice to meet you. So Shayna, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? And tell me about your affiliation with the ABC.
So, my name's Shayna Steinfeld. I practice in Atlanta, Georgia. I grew up in New Jersey. I came to Atlanta to attend Emory Law School. I attended Emory undergrad and grad. I graduated with a JD MBA. I met my husband, Bruce, in law school. So, I started life as a bankruptcy lawyer at a bankruptcy boutique. I was there 7 years and then wound up practicing solo for a little bit. And then in 2000, my husband and I formed our own firm. So he practices family law and I practice bankruptcy. And we've had a firm since 2000 together. So in 2003, on the horizon of the new bankruptcy code, I decided I should become certified under a law that I was really familiar with before I had to learn new law. I tested to become certified. And because my practice is a bit eclectic, I took the test for both consumer and business, and I think I'm one of two people in the state of Georgia certified in both. So I went through that process. Yes, this is a cumbersome process, but I did it for both business and consumer. So I've been certified since 2003, and every 5 years go through that recertification process. So we're going on 20 years for the certification for both business and consumer.
That's so awesome. You did it at the same time? You took both tests at the same time?
I did, because I'm a glutton for punishment and I'm an overachiever, hence the JD MBA and the dual certification.
So what portion of your practice is business and what is consumer?
I actually give it more of a 50-50. For instance, at the moment, I've got 2 pending Chapter 11s representing debtor entities. And then at the same time, I've got a portfolio of banks I'm representing, and I've got an entity trying to collect on a huge commercial loan. So it's really pretty much 50-50.
Okay, I'm sorry. So you're creditor rights and business bankruptcy certified, right?
Or no, I'm consumer certified and business certified.
Oh, okay, fantastic. That's awesome. Okay, so tell me about the kind of work that you do and who your ideal client is.
So, and just to add another layer to what kind of practice I do and what my background is, I also have a book that I put together based on a very early case that kind of piqued my interest in the divorce bankruptcy overlay, which again, my husband's a family lawyer. And when I was still with my firm, I had this case as a very young baby lawyer. And the case started in the bankruptcy court and then went up to the district court. And this guru of a bankruptcy lawyer who was involved in the passage of the 78 law, who had the signed thing from President Carter in his office, wrote me this note. He was very hard to please. And I got this little note with great job sitting in district court with an argument, which I prize. And I think I still have 33 years later. We argued this case, bankruptcy court, district court. We were in state court. We were in the Georgia Court of Appeals and the Georgia Supreme Court on the overlay between bankruptcy and family law. And I started collecting all the cases that came out on the overlay. So I decided I needed to do something with these cases. So I did a couple of seminars and ultimately sent the paper to a couple of places to see if somebody wanted to publish it. So I wound up with this book published by the ABA Family Law section. So it's now in its 4th edition. It's called The Family Lawyer's Guide to Bankruptcy. At this point, it's stale because they just, the impact of Chapter 13 on that area of the law is now huge because of the increase in the debt limits in Chapter 13. But I'm waiting now for them to ask me to do the 5th edition of the book. But anyway, that's been something that I've done a lot over the years, really. The consulting and helping on the overlay. And the one thing I do not do is Chapter 13 debtor work. That's an entity that's a thing to itself. So anyway,
I don't do it either. I don't do 13. I've never done one actually. But I think I love that you took the case that you were working on and became an expert in that particular area of the law and then decided to share that knowledge and expertise by putting it into a book. And I think that's fantastic. So
on my 11 cases, I've represented an artist who was up for a Grammy. and she got into a lot of trouble, and she'd been in jail, and she had this huge judgment that was going to be non-dischargeable for willful and malicious, but she was facing jail again for contempt and trying to figure out how to get her some relief. And we finally figured out how to maneuver around different things and get things settled to get her to a position where she could pay something reasonable and rational, as opposed to the judgment, which was not reasonable and rational. So some of the work's very, very interesting. Another case I had where the main issue was merchant cash advance loans, which are very onerous. And, we got a couple of orders that have been published, reported out about what merchant cash advance loans are, debt versus not debt. So some of the issues, I don't have a volume practice. I handhold my clients. I don't have staff. It's a very unique, eclectic practice.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Can you tell me what your footprint is?
What do you mean by that?
Where do you practice mainly? Is it the Atlanta vicinity? Is it all over Georgia?
So the vast majority of my cases are in Atlanta. I practice in the Middle District. I will handle some things in the Southern District. Sometimes, at the moment, I've got to become admitted in the Southern District. Historically, I've been down there. Every once in a while, I'll take something out of state and I'll pro hoc in. But I'm not licensed anywhere else.
And also, is there anything else that you would want fellow ABCers to know about your practice, or the types of work you like to do?
I like interesting things. I don't like the run-of-the-mill things. I like to do things where the clients like to be my partner in the case and aren't interested in something where it's a mill operation and it's teamed with a lot of people. I find the clients that I work best with are the clients that want to work as my partner.
Got it. Shayna, you told me that you were one of the founding members of the Georgia iWork. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So way back when, I want to say I think this is another thing that happened when I was pregnant with my third child. So let's give it 97, 98. One or the other, there were three of us, and Jennifer Meyerowitz was at maybe NCBJ, and she had run into some of the women that were early founders of the big iWork thing. And Georgia was probably number 9 or 10 to come on board. And she came back, and she and Leanne Gould, who was the other founder, the three of us, decided that we needed a Georgia chapter. And honestly, when I got out of law school and started bankruptcy practice, there weren't that many women bankruptcy practitioners. You could go to a big bankruptcy event and there'd be, 10 to a table and 300 people at the event. And each table only had 1 or 2 women at it, which may have been a tip off regarding, the prevalence of women in the practice. But in trying to found iWork, it was hard to get the numbers, but we got the numbers and we decided to do this, and we set out to found the chapter. And we had a very, small, solid group of people founding the chapter. And it's been real rewarding to see it now. My youngest is 25, so 25 years later, to see the chapter really having blossomed and grown and to see what it is today.
How many people are in it now?
Oh, I don't know that I can answer that question. I don't know. More than what we started with.
Yeah, for sure. So, Shayna, what are some of your hobbies?
So I absolutely love to travel. And so long as I can travel and continue to work, I'm a happy camper. And our travels become a bit more exotic. I'm very into history, and I'm into scrapbooking, and all that kind of comes together. My husband's a photographer. He likes to take pictures. So in traveling, I plan how to incorporate history into the travel. And I'm into genealogy, and I'm trying to piece all the history and the pictures and the and it kind of all comes together.
That is so cool. I love to travel too. And obviously, I love photography too. It's just like that. All my disposable income goes to travel. So
yeah, us too. It all, almost all of it goes to travel.
Where did you go last?
Where did I go last? Well, the last thing we did was a cruise that was Baltic from Southampton to Scandinavia, but that was really R&R. The last really cool thing we did was in January. We went to Egypt.
Oh my.
And we took our oldest and his fiance. So 4 of us took off for Egypt. And honest to Pete, I've wanted to go to Egypt since I was a teeny tiny girl and doing papers on pyramids. And I thought I'd never, ever, ever, ever get to go there. And I was just blown away.
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess I better put that on my list.
And ask me where I'm going next.
Where are you going next?
We're going to South Africa next year. And I've even planned 24. And in 24, we're booked on a cruise to Antarctica.
Oh my gosh. So what do you do with those scrapbooks when you put them together? Do you publish them, or like, how do you?
I got into creative memories when my youngest, when the 25-year-old was a baby, and it's archival quality. It's linen free, and it's got all these things that my father, who's the professional photographer, my father's sold Rolly cameras when I was a kid. He's really a professional photographer, and he gives me a hard time because he says the material I use for my pictures are going to outlive my pictures. So I use this really high-end material on my pictures, and I've got a set at this point of probably 75 albums sequential in my basement, and I've got scrapbooks. So I print the pictures and I put them together in like a storybook form. And to me, it's not art because I'm really not a great artist. I've never been a good artist, but I'm a historian. And to me, the pictures document what we've done. And then when my kids turned 18, I did digital albums summarizing their from birth to 18. And I made enough copies for the kids to each have their own copy of it, and to give to each of the grandparents and for us to have a copy. And that way I've got a record of the highlights. And instead of doing those sequentially from the albums that I've done, the creative memories, hard copies of the pictures, the digital albums are done by subject. So you can see like we were a baseball family. So you can see the baseball pictures from when they started playing at age 3 through the high school baseball pictures. And you can see, we traveled with them a lot. So you've got a page of, trips to Florida, a page of Disney, a page of the trips we did to this part of Europe, and a page of, so you can see what we've done, and they can look at it, and they go through it and they look at it, a page of all their school pictures. So it's a summary album, and they've got it. And God forbid there's a fire, the first thing I do is grab the digital albums. But it all comes from this place of history.
That is so cool. Let me find it. I just lost you there on my. Can you? There we go. Okay.
There you are.
That is great. My last question. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say it all comes from a place of being an historian and trying to document.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, as lawyers, we're storytellers.
We are. Particularly bankruptcy. We're litigator. I mean, bankruptcy lawyers are a cross of litigators and commercial.
Yeah.
And it's the litigator that tells the story. It's the litigator that puts stories together, and and that outlet on the personal side is the scrapbook and the telling the.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's people. Yeah, I'm totally with you. My last question: tell me something people do not know about you.
Okay, so it dovetails back into the traveling. And when I was in college, when I was right after I took the LSAT after junior year, I did an archaeological dig. And for 6 weeks, I was in this really, really small town in Germany called Manking, which was outside a little bit bigger town called Ingolstadt, which was an hour outside of Munich. And for 6 weeks, I was one of 4 women on this field of archaeological dig with a huge number of men. And we were digging a Celtic site with my favorite history professor, who was really a Roman history guy. And we were digging Celtic things all summer. We did this for 6 weeks. Now, my best friends were on a theater program in London, but me, I was on an archaeological dig. And we toured around Bavaria, touring Roman sites in Bavaria. And then I came home.
Did you find anything?
Yeah. We found shards of pottery. We found chicken bones. You could look out over what we had uncovered And, not me personally, but the team of people. You could look out. The site was going on for about 30 years, and you could look out over the site, and you could see where the garbage pits were, and you could see where the houses were, and you could see all sorts of stuff from the town. And recently, I don't know, probably about 6 years ago, my middle son was studying in Metz, France, and my husband and I on that trip, we went to visit him in Metz, spent the weekend with him, and I dragged him to Manking, Germany. And we met with a woman I'd been corresponding with for 25 years. And we went to the museum that they now have in Manking with all the things they found on the site. And you can see like all the stuff that we found. So it was kind of cool. And man, is it great exercise. You don't want to do Weight Watchers or something, go sign up for an archaeological dig. Because it's manual labor. You're just bent over doing manual labor 8 hours a day.
Oh my gosh. That is so interesting. That is such an awesome answer. Wasn't expecting that. That's so cool. I'm going to thank you so much.